Hey, Jess.
Hello, how are you?
I'm okay. Kind of cold here. I don't like it.
Oh, it's probably colder here.
So I think it's the same. I just checked another day with Ludwig, and he said it was the same temperature.
Cause it's 48
Oh, let me
here.
see. I need to change some. Okay, it's not 48.
I was just in Wyoming where it was like 20 degrees.
Oh man,
Yeah.
is it pretty in Wyoming?
Yeah, we went there to go skiing.
You are. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really fun.
How many days did you go?
We only went skiing for 3 days. We drove there, and the drive's 12 hours, so
Oh man.
basically 2 days of driving and 3 days of skiing.
So Wyoming doesn't have mountains, really? For some reason, I thought Wyoming
It does. It has the Grand Tetons at the edge.
Mm.
So we went to Jackson Hole Ski Resort. It's a really famous ski resort.
I just heard about it's I think it's in Canada, in Vancouver, but in Canada.
Whistler?
Yeah, about that one.
You just learned about it, or you just heard something about it?
I just heard it on the podcast about it, and
Oh.
apparently it's really cool. It has like some stuff.
Yeah, we went there last year for
Oh,
a
you
week.
did? So how was it?
Fun. I mean, I love skiing, so every year I do a ski trip somewhere.
Wow.
Last year it was Whistler. It was. I mean, we drove there too, and we actually went there. And a week after we came home is when all the shutdowns happened, and then
Good
they closed
timing.
down the resort. So we had perfect timing.
Wow, good timing.
Yeah.
Is it like a kind of upscale?
Yeah. Basically all the big ski resorts are really upscale because that's just the people, the clients that they're trying to get money from. But there are ways to go skiing for cheaper if you like get passes and you find deals. But like if you were just trying to learn how to go skiing, it wouldn't be worth it to me to go to one of the big resorts because you're just going to be on the bunny hills all day. Like if you're trying to learn to go skiing, you should just go to the small cheap local resorts. But I've been skiing since I was a kid, so I like to go to the big ones because they have the best trails.
Wow, so you're the like a black diamond girl, huh?
Yeah.
I kind of knew it. Oh man. Oh man, we should stop talking. It's recording.
Yeah.
Oh, nice background. Is it Wyoming? Wow. Wow, I would never guess it's Wyoming.
All right, 3 o'clock. We'll wait maybe a minute or two to see if more people join, and then we'll get started.
Gabe, I saw the videos in the folder and I started watching them. I didn't know if it's actually we're supposed to watch them.
Yeah, no, feel free.
Fine.
That's why I made them. I mean, I just
All
wanted to get them out there so that people, can't make it to this. They can still, go through the whole process.
I couldn't. I stopped on the wall part. I stopped on the wall part.
All right. A couple people still joining. All right, let's see. We can get started then. So, do a little intro before we get started. But thanks you guys for coming. Today we're gonna go over what we're calling our G units. I don't want to call them Gabe units, so I call them G units. But basically, it's a new version of the modeling methods that we currently use. What we're using in sales, which was the AMI units. So those are kind of fixed, pre-made families that you can load into the project and kind of toggle certain things on and off. And we're mixed with the operation style of using, the sill track, cock joints, and all that. So I actually created some videos ahead of time for those people who couldn't make it or who want to go through it by yourself or at a slower pace. But we'll kind of go over the process. I want you guys to be able to take the files, put them on your desktop, play around with them. If you guys have questions, we can ask during this session. And then we basically kind of want to see your feedback, where we want to implement this to where we use it in sales at the beginning, we make a one model, and then it just gets refined as it goes down the process. We don't have to convert anything. We don't have to do anything in the background to try to get it to where we need it for, takeoff. So one continuous process, one flow, one piece flow. And then again, we just want all your feedback to make this the best process we can and make sure everybody's on the same page. Sound like a plan? All right, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna show a couple of videos. There's 7 videos. I broke them into sections. And the first one is to get how to get all of the documents or all the files onto your own computer, so you can play with it and not have to deal with the server. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Any questions before I begin? If not, I will start the first video. So let me share my audio. Share sound. All right, let me know if you guys can hear it. If it's blurry, let me know. I can optimize as well. And then we can get started. Today I'm going to show you an overview of the new G units. Before I do that, I'm going to actually give you a sample file so you can play around with it, open it, mess with what we're going to be going over today. So I'm going to show you where that's at. So if you go to your Windows Explorer and you go to the Operations EM drive, and you go to the Lean folder, and then you go down to G units. If you click on that folder, and these are the files you're going to want to copy and put on your desktop or your local machine, so you can use it has some mullions. So if you take a look in there, there's some families in there that you're going to load in. It has the project we're going to be using, has the units that we're going to be loading in, 1, 2, and 3 lights, so you can play around with, and then it also has videos on how to step by step on what we're going to be doing. So that's where it's located. Please feel free to download it and play with, open it, look at it, just get that on your desktop so we can open it together and you can follow along. Alright, that's where you'll find it. Thank you. Alright, so that'll be the first step in kind of the training today, is make sure you copy those folders. And then while it's copying, you can also start up Revit 2018 if you want to follow along. Again, you can do this, just watch and then do it at a later time, but if you want to follow along, we can just open up Revit 2018. All right, so I know it might take some time to download those files or copy them over to your desktop, but the thumbs up if everybody has those on their desktop. Cool. Most people still downloading, still transferring, I mean. And then just a little bit of background. What we're going to be doing today is looking at a Lawson test. That's the name of the project. I took Lawson Lane and I kind of built some units based on that project. It looked pretty straightforward. There's some punched openings in there. So that's what you'll see if you notice Jessica, if you notice, it looks pretty familiar. All right, good to go. All right, so let me know if you have. Link doesn't appear in the folder. You should be able to just go to your operations and then lean here. This might be on the Fremont server. So if you're looking, I'm not sure if it's in the LA one, but you go to the Fremont one, which is the www.datahq/operations. Good to go? All right, so we're going to move on to the next video. So the next video, back to my desktop, units, videos, 2. Right, so now that we've downloaded or we copied over all of these folders into our desktop, what we're going to do is we're going to actually open up one of these projects or open up the project in there. So what you want to do is open up Revit 2018. Once that's open, you just go to this open under projects, navigate to the location that you want to open. So I'm going to go to my desktop and I go to G units, and then if you go to the project, you can see this loss and test. So this loss and test is what we're going to be using, and I'm going to do a little overview using this one. So once you're in Revit 2018, you're going to open it, and then you're going to go to this WWG view. That's going to be our main view that we're going to be working with. Alright, so that's step 2. Make sure you open 2018. If you open it in a newer version, it's going to upgrade, which is fine, but 2018 is best. And then make sure you go to 3D view. So you can go ahead and do that and then watch the next video. Alright, pretty simple step, right? Is everybody there? Open the model, open loss and test, sweet, thumbs up, that's a thumbs up. And we're opening that 3D view, cool. Alright, so let me go ahead and play the next video. Next one, those of you that are still opening it, we're going to be talking about a little overview of the G units, some of the parameters that you'll see when you click on one, and then we'll get into it. So now that we've opened the project and we are in this 3D view, I'm going to kind of explain what this whole G unit is. So the G units are a new type of modeling method we're going to be trying out. It's a combination of kind of the style we're doing in operations now and a little bit of what we're doing in sales with the old Amy units. So let me just get into it. So as you can see here, this is I got some punch windows set up here. This looks similar to Lawson, but what happened is if you click on this frame here, you can see that it all highlights. That's because it's a curtain panel family. So this is similar to what we're doing in sales. We're creating a curtain panel family, and we're actually replacing the glass with what we're calling G units. So these G units, like I mentioned, they're curtain panels. They actually have everything kind of pre-assembled on it, like an actual unit, and they're defined based on how many lights there are, right? You have a 1 light, 2 light, and 3 lights so far that we're testing, and we are trying to get everybody's feedback, so that's why we're trying to have everybody get in there and play around with them and see what if there's any feedback we can make these better or what everybody's thinking. So just to take a look at this one that I selected, that's red. This is a 2 light unit, and just going down the properties list since I selected it, here under construction defines all of the mullions. So you can see that there's family names that might be familiar to everybody, and they're tied to specific parameters like the top mullion, is this family, horizontal 1 is this family, so on and so forth. So this is kind of where you control what borders are on this unit. And we'll get into the specifics when we actually try one. But I just kind of want to show you where everything's at. So this is the first area. The second area down here is the material. So for example, the glass, you can change what's the glass type and actually what that infill is, which we'll get into. You can turn shadow box and back pans on and off. So that's going to be all in this area. And then moving down, you have your dimensions. So like in as opposed to operations, you put grid lines for all your horizontals. These horizontals are actually built into the families, so you can go ahead and toggle this, on and off to, or change the dimension, sorry, to whatever you want independently, and you don't really have to lock them. You can just set this dimension to what it needs to be, and then it stays at the dimension unless you change, the height of the wall or something. So all of these can control specific things like, for example, the infill, like the glass offset, the thickness, where the shadow box is, where the back pin is. That's all going to be within the dimensions area. Identity data and phasing doesn't really have anything that applies to us. But then we have this area here for the general area. The general area is all basically filled in using a tool that we made. Alan actually created a tool, which I'll talk about later, that actually sets all the bytes, similar to kind of what we're doing for all the GGs, like GG 2.0 and 3.0, so that you don't really have to worry about unless you're going to manually change something, but I'll go over that later on. Going down the list, this is all data that we use for the takeoff, and then in the visibility, we also have parameters to turn, if this is a corner, I can change, it can make a miters based on, if it's inside or outside corner, which you can play around with. So different frames that have different lights will have different parameters. So a 2 light has, these parameters. A 3 light is going to have more because it has an extra horizontal. So you can see there's another place where you can change the second horizontal. So it's going to have a little bit more parameters that we will need to play around with. Alright, so that's kind of an overview of what the G units are, and kind of what all these parameters are and how we can toggle them. So I'm gonna let you take a look at them, and then we'll move on to the next step of actually putting some in and manipulating some of the parameters. But I'll let you continue checking those out, and just watch the next video to actually put some in. Right, any questions so far? I just went over a little overview and the parameters, but anything that jumps out at you? No? Good to go? All right.
Sorry, I do have a question.
Sure.
So I'm clicking on a unit and there is no parameter for profile modifiers.
Oh yes, good question. So Zach actually made a different one for this type of modeling. It's going to be Mullion modifier instead of profile modifier. It's just a different name. It does the same thing.
And you have to like tab to click on that.
Yeah, you click on
Okay.
you tab into it, and it should be in there for Mullion modifier. See it?
And
Yeah, got it.
Tanya, had a question?
yeah, I have only one question because it is all Mullion's definitions are instance. So it's a very common question. If we have to change any Mullion on all, like so many places, we have to select all those things. So we have to do one by one.
No,
Right.
you can do it. You can select multiple and change them as long as they're the
Yeah,
same. The
So
same
one by one
unit
is
type.
we have to select those unit and do it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Okay, perfect.
Yep, good questions. All right, we're gonna move on to number 4, which is actually loading in the units and the mullions. Um, they're already loaded into your project, but I'm just gonna show that process. All right, so now that I had a little overview of what G-units are and kind of, what the parameters are and what they can do, we can go ahead and, put one in. So to start, what we need to do is create a wall first, similar to what we're doing in sales and operations. You create a wall and you set the height. So I made a wall here for you guys. You can make another one if you want, but I'm just going to go ahead and use this one. That's the first step, is create the wall, set the height and the width. Once you have the wall, go ahead and go to the architecture tab, go to curtain grid, and we're going to put a curtain grid here right in the middle, and that's going to divide the unit into two, or the wall into 2 units, similar to what you see here. So once we have the grid in there, what I like to do is put the cock joints. So this is going to be 1.25" cock joints on the jambs and the head, just based on the details that I looked at previously. So I'm going to go to, sorry I did that fast, architecture, mullions, and in the properties you're going to go to WW cock joint 1.25". Again, you can always pause and rewind the video if you need to. So if you go to WW cock joint 1.25", place one on the left, place one on the right, place it on the top. And then for the sill track, we're actually to load that in the way that we've been doing it in operations. So I've kind of preloaded that in here already, but what we can do is use the SW75111601. So we would just use the same command that we've been using, which is this load mullions. Once you click that, you find it in the list, and then it gets loaded in. Again, it's already loaded, so I'm just going to go to architecture mullion and go to that sill track. Click on it, put it at the bottom. So now I have my borders. Now I can go ahead and start putting in the unit. So what I'm going to do, typically in operations we would click on this and change it to another wall, as you would see here, like a W75 unit. But what we need to do is I want to load in the new frames. They're already loaded in, but I just want to show you how to do it. If you go to Insert, Load Family, and you're going to navigate to those folders that we put on our desktop. So go to G units, units, and then I can select all 3 of them. I want all 1, 2, and 3 lights, and just hit open. It's going to upgrade because they're created in 2017. They're going to upgrade to 2018, and then you're good to go. So now you can go ahead and put them in. So again, you want to click towards the bottom, or kind of one of the edge of the glass that's in there. Tab, select, and then like I said previously, instead of a wall, we're going to go all the way to the top, and we're going to put in that 2 light unit. So you can select multiple. I could have selected both of these and then change them to 2 light units. If you know what it's going to be, you can do a multiple at one time. And you can also use your most recently used ones down here, so you don't have to scroll to the bottom. So as you can see, when I put them in, they come in with the default settings. So if I click on one of them or click on both of them, I can change both of them at the same time. And I'll show you how to do, you can do that and then change something, like change this to like 4 feet, and you can see they both move up to 4 feet. If I only selected one, change this to 6 feet or whatever I want to, you can see it's only going to move this side. Alright, so my goal is to get these units to look like this. To do that, I need to select the units and change, the mullions, the glass, anything else that I want to turn on in this specific family instance. So right now you can see mullions, they're just temp mullions, they're just kind of placeholders, and I need to load in the mullions that I want to use. So if I go do the same process, insert, load family, and then if I navigate to my desktop, GUnits, mullions, these are the mullions that I want to load, so I just held shift. I clicked on the first one, held shift, clicked on the last one, and just hit open. Again, they're going to load, they're going to upgrade, and then now you have them in your project. So at that point, I'm going to go ahead and stop the video. Make sure you guys are up to speed, and let's just make these the same dimensions so it looks good for when we start the next video. So now that I've loaded everything in there, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next set of videos. All right. Everybody follow along. Do you need help? Do you need questions so far? What we're doing? No? Good to go?
I would like to explain one more thing that you can see once you have unit ready, you can apply that on that one, right? It will be the same unit, correct?
Correct. Yep. Yeah. So what Gatan's saying, like, I have this unit here on this one, which is already made with all the correct mullions and class and stuff. And with Revit, I can use the match properties, which is pretty much kind of like a copy unit. And then I can click on this one, click on that one, and it matches everything in the unit. So that's a pretty good feature. Thanks for bringing that up, Katana. I didn't show it in the videos, but if you type MA in your keyboard, you can kind of match things. Yeah, so that's always good.
Hey Gabe, isn't there a way that you can just click on the wall, click edit type, and then change the borders, like border type 1, border type 2 to the cock joint instead of selecting mullion, then placing them? Or is it specific, like we have to do it with the mullions like that?
No, I mean, there is a way you can do that. If you edit the type and you make multiple types, you can define that within the borders.
Yeah.
It's just, I did it this way just to kind of make it easy on people putting it there. I mean, it depends on the way you want to use the workflow. Like, make a whole bunch of different types, or just kind of put them as you're going.
Okay.
Yep. Anybody have a preference on either one? Do people just kind of put mullions on the walls, or do they make types, different types?
I would like to prefer the types. So it is faster, once we define.
What's
Then,
the match properties command shortcut in Revit?
MA?
The same as in AutoCAD.
Yeah. Okay. Looks like a town likes types. Anybody else?
I like mullions.
Putting mullions on there?
Yeah, because I can never remember which type is which unless I have to keep track of them.
Yeah.
yeah, so generally when I'm drawing the first time, I'm using the types, and then I'm releasing all the mullions, just make a type none, so it will stay there.
Oh, so you're like doing both basically.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, sorry about that.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I love this match properties command.
It's awesome.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. So at this point, everybody should have something that looks like this. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and go to the next video, and then we're going to actually put in some units, or put in some mullions. All right, so now that we have loaded in the mullions, we've loaded in the units, we can now kind of customize this unit, or whichever ones we select, by changing some parameters. So if I select these two, hold down Control, and it selects both. Like I mentioned, we can now modify the mullions that make up this unit. So this family is kind of built a little different than what you might have seen in the AIM units. The AIM units, they're kind of static. Like you can change like if it's inviso or captured, but that's kind of like that's all you could do. With this method, you can kind of change it to whatever you want. So if I click on this drop down menu for the top mullion, you can see I can kind of change it to whatever mullion I need to. So the correct one would be the 3170.003. You click on that and then it updates. It doesn't look like it did much because they're the same profile shape, but it actually changed the mullion. I can do the same thing with the horizontal. So the one on there is captured. I can change this one to the 2106, which is Invisa, so you can kind of see what happens. You can see that it changed the mullion. Do the same thing with the bottom. The bottom is the 002, I believe. Dead load. Changes that mullion. And then the left and right are actually different. So I'm going to not select both of them and select one at a time here. I'm going to select this one. On the left, it's going to be a capture gem, which is the PL. And then on the right, it's going to be the 5691. That changes, so now that's Inviso. And I would do the same thing here. On the left, it would be the 5692. And then on the right, it's going to be the PR. That's just because I know the mullions required for this. We would just check the profile set or the shop drawing set to see which mullions go where they need to go. Alright, so once that's all set, now you can kind of see that it's starting to look similar to this one. You got Inviso horizontals and then Inviso vertical. So if I want to change both of them again, I can select both. And now you can go ahead and start selecting what type of glass it is, changing the horizontal off, the top of horizontal 1, all this stuff. And one thing to notice is you see that these are blank. They're blank because these two have different values, so it doesn't show anything because they're different. Let's go ahead and change the glass. So same process. If you have glass, I'm going to change this to whatever it needs to be using the materials. So it'll be tempered at the bottom, and then do the same thing for this one at the top. This one can be Vision 1. Just hit OK, and then those change. I just hit a right click, select previous, and then I can go back to that. If I need to turn on some shadow boxes or back pans, I can do that here. So the same process, you'd have to load them in. Again, they're already loaded, so I'm not going to do that step. What I would just need to do is select the frame that I want to change or put a shadow box on. Just hit the drop down, and now I just need to search for shadow box. Click on shadow box. Now you can see it turns on. It turns it on here. And again, like I mentioned in the previous video, you can change anything about that shadow box, where it is in relation to the face of system, the thickness of it, and then later on all the bytes will go in there, so you'll see that. But again, it's just kind of all the parameters that you want to change. You can kind of look through the list. If I want to change the top of horizontal 10 feet 3/4, that's going to change that. I'm going to turn this shadow box off to empty. Alright, and that's pretty much it. So these two have the mullion set, the glass set, the parameters for the horizontal. All this is pretty standard. And I'm going to show you what that looks like. I don't need to do any corners, so that's all turned off. I'm going to show you what it looks like in a plan view and a section view. I'm gonna go to the second floor. I zoom in on this one that I made. You can see that it's gonna come in with the mullions already on, like kind of what we're used to. You can kind of see everything is kind of set based on the mullions that I put in. One thing to notice is you can see the glass. The glass goes all the way to the edge. So the glass is, going all the way to where the grid line is for verticals, all the way to the edge if it's like jambs or head or sill, and then if it's a horizontal, it goes to the top of horizontal. So in the next video, what I'm going to show you is, how to set those values, because those are driven within the frame. Alright, so in this video, hopefully you're at the step where you've changed all the mullions, you put in the glass types, and then you set the correct horizontals. And then we'll move on to the glass. Alright, any questions? Everyone at that point?
Gabe, do you know, so you did say about the profile modifiers, so it's mullion modifier on the mullions, but I'm trying to see what is it on the glass and shadow boxes. It's also mullion modifier on the data?
I have to check that one. I didn't know we had it on glass.
We do have it on glass. It just calls something different. And I do see it when I select the glass on the data, I do see mullion modifiers. So I don't know if that does the same thing, kind of what it used to.
So with the operations current method, you select the glass and you add a profile modifier to it?
Yeah, occasionally we have to do it for the glass or for the backplanes, shadow boxes, or panels.
But you put a value in the profile modifier section?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, it'll be the same, but it's just mullion modifier in this case.
So this is what because I do see mullion modifier on the glass.
Yeah, I think Zach did it. He made two parameters just because they're different styles. So I guess he didn't want them to conflict. Mm-hmm. So, and because you can't apply the same parameter to a generic model, which these are, and a curtain panel kind of thing. Mm-hmm. I think that's why I did that. Any other questions, comments? Ready to move on to the next step?
Okay, I have a question. If we have a tech valve or W95, we have to provide different frame?
Yeah, so with a tech wall, it'd be a different modeling method because those aren't units. These are specific to units. But if you do have like a W95, which is a deeper system, or even a full different custom system, all you need to do is just load in the families that are the mullions, and then you just swap those out to where it needs to be on the frames. Good question.
Yeah, at some point, we kind of want to even do the tech walls as units, even though we don't really install them that way, because there's a lot of the pricing and stuff like that would be a lot easier if we looked at them like units. So that's something we should tackle in the not too distant future as we make this transition, because then everything would model the same way and you don't have to do something different at the tech wall, you know?
Yeah, definitely. All right.
Sorry, Gabe. So is there not this, like, our current way, we have to build in these offsets when we load in the mullions? Is that just not a thing anymore with this new unit type?
No, that's a good question. So with this method, they are actually built into the frames and into the mullions themselves. So maybe in the next video, I can open it and show you kind of how that works. But yeah, they are part of it. Just in case, you have like an all-in-viso system where that dimension point is moved to, face the glass, you have that ability to change that within the frame. Good question. All right, I will play the next video. All right, so once we got all the mullions in there, we then need to set the glass. So if I click on this family here, you can see that this area here, this is where it would drive all the parameters for the glass, shadow box, and back pans. You can see it's all 0 now. We would to control it, you can input the values, but I don't really want to do that, so we actually created a tool which is located on the WW setup area. So if you don't have the WW setup, please let Alan or myself know and we will get that to you. But we want to use this set frame parameters. But before I do that, I'm going to show you what it looks like before it's set. So let me actually turn on a shadow box and let me turn on a back pan. And then let me go to a plan view to show you. So as you can see here, we have the shadow box and back pan turned on, as well as the glass, and they all go to the edge of the unit. So we created a tool to actually input the values for us, because that'll be a very tedious process. And what the tool does, it actually looks at some values stored in the mullion. So if I tab into the mullion, click on it, you can see the family name and it's a generic model. And if I go to edit type, you can see this DLO left and glass offset left. So these values here were inputted when the family was created. So Team Esley would input these values similar to what they're doing now, but it'll go straight into the family, and the tool will actually use these to set all of the values. So we don't have to actually store it on a separate server and run the tool and get that. It'll take a little longer. It actually runs pretty fast when it's coming straight from Revit. So that's what it's actually looking for. So this family here can kind of be anything, as long as those values are inputted correctly. You're going to get the correct glass bites and offsets for your shadow box and back pan. So as you can see, let's go ahead and run it and see what it looks like after it runs. If I hit set parameters on there, you can see how quick that was. So it went ahead and set the offsets, shadow box and back pan, as well as all of the glass. So it did all of them in the whole project. You can see that it looks pretty good. One key thing to note is it also did it for everything. So even though I didn't have a shadow box or back pan turned on here, it went ahead and filled it out just in case you needed to turn it on in the future. So that's always good. Another thing to note is if you do end up changing a mullion on a frame, you would need to rerun it just to make sure that the glass bite is correct and the offsets are all inputted correctly. So that's one thing. If you change a mullion here, make sure you run that tool. So let's go ahead and take a look at the elevation. I'm just going to drag these up to show you what it looks like. Again, everything is set correctly on here, on the invisible vertical, and then on the other side. And then if I look at the section, drag that one up, I have my sills set correctly with the offsets for the shadow box and back pan, and then same thing with the horizontal, that's all good, and the head. So that's all set, and that's how you basically input the glass. So again, you can toggle things on and off. If you do end up changing a mullion, make sure you rerun it, and it runs pretty quick this time. Alright, so that's how you put the glass. Thank you. Alright, does everybody have that set frame parameters? Did they run it? It worked? Yes, no?
Yeah, it Gabe, so the way it's set it up in that properties for glass, for material and finishes. So it's from like top to bottom, right? Kind of like if you're reading for your first glass, top glass, second glass, if you have a third glass, they would go in this order, kind of everything related, one underneath another, right?
Yeah.
Because you're selecting the whole unit, just kind of get the logic.
Yeah, you select the unit that you want to change, and then it has like IF1, so that's the first infill, IF2, IF3.
So
on
from
and so
top
forth.
down. Oh,
Well, in this case, sorry, it's from bottom up. So this would be
This
infill
one is
one,
from-
infill B, infill two. I can switch it to where in the properties it goes up.
It doesn't matter as long as it's the same everywhere.
Yeah, I think as long as everybody understands which one is which, this would be the first one. This would be the second one.
Okay, I have one question.
Sure.
So the bytes, you embedded the bytes into the as a type parameters onto the Boolean.
Onto the Boolean, yes.
So if I have like a different byte for that same Boolean, as for example, if we have like a gem to gem unit, and in that case we have to create a separate Boolean, right? Gem Booleans.
No, that's
Because
something we
the
can
bytes
also
are different.
program. We can also program that into the tool. I mean, that way you're not creating multiple Booleans just for the different bytes. I mean, if we can just make it to where it's it looks for gem to gem, like kind of what it's doing now for the glass currently.
Okay, so for gem to gem, we have to add some value for that somewhere, like data for that, right? If it is a gem to gem, then the byte will be different.
Yes, correct. Yeah, we
Okay.
can look for that case where jam to jam with the tool, and if that case comes up, we just take a 16 from the right side, and it'll be good.
Or we have to create a new type. I mean, anyway.
All right. Any questions? That's pretty much it. The last video that I had on is like a conclusion, but basically we can kind of talk about, you guys see anything? Do you have any other questions or feedback? I mean, that's kind of the Q&A part of this now.
Did you run it through the takeoffs already?
I ran it through the takeoff browser, and it picks up the units, picks up the mullions, picks up the glass. I mean, everything's coming through. And you can do that as well. If you go to the takeoff browser, you can refresh it, and everything should show up.
I guess my question is if there are plans to build like the SRT and the mat clips and everything into the units.
The SRTs, yes, those would go into the units. Like I said, it covers like all of that are part of it. Those we anticipate to be in the frames. The mat clips, I don't believe we talked about those. I think those would probably be better outside using the generic model placer. But we did talk about SRTs and extended.
Well, I did on one of my projects because I had to really quickly get the embeds placed before I even started, just like built it into one of the sales model units. And it was so easy because I just put my mat clip and my embed, 3 inches back in the centered on the mullion, loaded the unit back in, and it populated everywhere. So I don't know. I thought before, maybe we could have 2 different unit types that nest each other. And like one unit type holds all the accessories and one unit type holds, the units. And so they can be edited separately as we are building new assets.
Yeah, I thought of that.
And then I guess my other thing is, to get all our tools working again and our views and everything. I mean, I'm wondering if there's a plan to start like updating that stuff, or we're still just in the beginning stages.
I know that's something definitely we talked about. All of Alan's tools would have to get kind of re-looked at to work with this method. We have to talk with Zach on getting all the data to make sure that everything flows through the takeoff as well. But yeah, this is kind of like a first stab at it, like preliminary, like make a few lights, have everybody take a look at it, see if there's any feedback we can get, and, you know, make this kind of better.
I think talking to Zach, you know, if the takeoff browser can read it, then he's probably good to go. We don't see a lot of problems with the takeoff program part. You know, and I think for Alan, you know, most of the work is figuring out what we want. You know how it is. Like, oh, I want it to work like this, and then you go do it. It's like, no, I want it to work like that. So I think now that he knows how we want it, the conversion probably won't be too bad. But yeah, we have a definitely to get it to work with both kinds of units. You know, it's just sort of the next thing. We did a little bit of that with AIME units because we did the 600 Almador job that way. I think it was, or 600 Clyde, maybe 600 Clyde.
Yeah.
So we did a little bit of that already with some of Alan's tools, but yeah, we still have some work to do there too. But Jessica, can you explain that to me one more time because I'm a little slow. So you said make two types of assets. One is the unit that we're looking at, and another one is the one where you put the accessories or something.
Yeah, so like you can nest families in each other.
Mm-hmm.
So if you try and build everything you want into one family, it can be really unmanageable, which I think we experienced before. But if you made like two curtain panel families and then they ended up nesting, and you could build in one of those curtain panel families just all the accessories, and one of the curtain family panels is just the basic unit and the unit options, then nest them into like one master file. It might just be an easier way to manage having more stuff in that family that's less that's not as difficult to update, you know, or change things around if you need to do that.
I think it's a great idea because like I try to put the generic model on the elevation, and it's like if you think about it, it's a lot of work. But if it's just you overlay the frame on the top of the frame, it's already there, and you can just toggle on your height. It's so much easier. You know it's there. It's in the right spot, kind of like in relationship to left, right, in, out, kind of too. Because it's not very user friendly to place all this like accessories on right now.
Yeah, I think this method is, you know, a lot more encapsulated than the curtain wall method we've been using. So it lends itself to having, you know, more things kind of built into it, you know, as opposed to having to build outside things to attach to it. So, but yeah, there's a lot of possibilities here. It's just, I like where we're headed. It's sort of, we keep, you know, sort of taking the next little step, but
I like that we're using the Revit, the like local, actual Revit kind of resources sort of to utilizing it here, because before it looks like we were rewriting it and kind of making our own, and here we're actually using what actually Revit has a little bit more, seems like.
mm-hmm.
There's probably some work we'll have to do when we start using it in terms of building categories into all the elements, and so we can actually filter them out in views as we need to.
Yeah, I kind of thought of that while I was making them, because we do use that for like the Mac clips and stuff. So I did build in some of that. So if you go to generic models, there's mullions, so that'll turn on all the mullions, and then infills, so that'll control the infills. So
I mean, if we build all the categories, we can even have Alan make a tool that turns them on and off, or temporarily on and off as we need to.
Yep.
Yeah, in the Maclibs, regarding the Maclibs, because Maclibs is like a sitting on the slab, and the hook lugs are sitting on the unit. At least I would suggest to put like a hook lugs on the unit, and we can remove it from the Maclibs family.
No, I don't know. It's kind of scary. What if they don't align? Right now, we know for sure those two are. It is where it is, both of them, because they need to be aligned.
No, Yeah, no, because just currently, suppose when you are taking off the unit, suppose, right? How you will associate the hook lugs?
But
Hook lugs.
they are
So hook lugs
there,
are
but they
distributed per
there
unit,
was
right?
the there was the macro. So you kind of it's kind of reminds me that my like all embedding stuff is the same spot. And if it's not, they're both not in the same spot. I kind of liken it together. I like it together because it's kind of reassurance they are in the same spot. If we start separating them, I feel like one person does embeds, another person does hook logs, and they're not aligned. And I don't know, just scary.
Also, your program is taking care of locating the hook lugs from the location of the maclip currently.
They are together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it reads that hook lug location and the mullion understands where to put it because of where it is. Yeah, the program handles that piece.
Oh, okay.
But we still end up with mistakes being made because
Mhm.
like the hook lug can end up being a 32nd of an inch off
Yeah.
your center, and then we end up with units that are throwing unique IDs for no reason. So
Yeah.
it's not really perfect to be placing them by hand. And we can just as easily have a mat clip and an embed that we modeled by hand not aligning.
But we know the right, left, or right, because that's the other problem, right? Is right now you look at the section, you can tell that the hook lugs are in the right spot. You know the mat clip and the embeds in the right spot. But if those two things are disconnected, that embed could be off an inch, or you wouldn't know one way or the other, right? So
Well, they're not connected right now, is what I'm saying.
No.
We're still putting them manually into place. I mean, well, if we use Zach's tool, they're going in the same place once we put them in, but if anyone goes back through later and edits them, they could be moved around.
that's probably more workflow than.
I mean, so I don't know. Maybe with Zach's generic model helpers, it doesn't really matter how we place them, but it would be interesting, I think, to look at the possibility of building it into the unit.
Yeah, definitely
Yeah.
something we can look into. And I just wanted to show you, based on your comment, Jess, the mullion offset. So it is built into the frame as a type parameter. So it's set by default as 2 1/4. But if you never need to change that to whatever it needs to be, like 1 1/4, if it's an all invisor or whatever it is, you can just change it in the type. We could even build a tool to actually just change them all. But it would just push everything forward, and then your dimension point for the wall is now to that face of glass, as opposed to the face of system or the face of the verticals. Let me just show you that it pushes it.
So, Gabe, this offset that you use 2 1/4 inch or whatever. So actually, you created your family to the face of the system or face of the
It's
backside pocket.
it's back of pocket.
Oh, okay.
Back of pocket. So T Mesley's process is everything back of pocket. So we kind of
So
kept
what about
that.
the corner mullion? How you will adjust at the corner mullion?
That's a good question. So corner mullions, we actually have the offset figured out within the mullion. So how much time do we have? 5 minutes. Let me show this. Are there any other questions while I load this in?
I think it's good to say too on loading that the reason we use back of pocket is because it matches the takeoff group. So, that way, when we're doing, that's the one thing we all know that has to align when a vertical or a horizontal meet. Face of system is a tricky thing between an inviso and a capture and everything else, but the backs of the pockets have to line up. So in the takeoff program, we use that for our layout, and then as long as Revit's using that, then if we match the offset in the takeoff program to the offset in Revit, then all our parts come out the same size no matter what. So that's why we use that.
Okay. So in our current method, actually, what is the reference line for the takeoff program?
It's back of pocket.
Back of pocket.
Yeah, and same thing on the, even in our current method of modeling in Revit, it's back of pocket too.
Yeah, but okay, but oh yeah. But we are offsetting all mullions from. See, when we are defining the offset of the mullion, it is from the face of the system, right? In current method, I mean.
No, it's from the back of the pocket. The
Back
two.
pocket.
Oh,
Okay, that's why you enter the 2
I think, yeah, I didn't pay much attention on that. Okay. Okay.
So yeah, just to show you what that looks like real quick. So this would be a typical corner mullion. So you can see it's at back of pocket. So wherever that is in relation to back of pocket or whatever angle. So if we have an offset of 2 1/4, type in that value so that it automatically gets inputted in the frame, and you can see that it adjusts that based on that value. And so it would do the same thing at whatever angle. It's just using formula to figure that out. So you don't have to worry about the placement of the corner.
So who sets up all those parameters on those profiles?
So this is all, it would be in a template. And then we envision like Team Esley making the families, and they would just input the values into the family itself, like the daylight opening, glass offset, and that's pretty much it, because everything else would be standard.
So it's a template of the family. So no
Yes.
matter.
Yeah, so you'd have like a corner template and a sill template and a vertical template.
Yeah, so I have those kind of built out here. So these would be the templates we would use that have all the parameters already set. All right. Any other questions? Any comments, feedback? What are you guys thinking? You guys love it, hate it? Don't really care?
No, I definitely like
Love
it more than previous version.
Love
I miss the formulas though, where all the where's like the paragraph formulas at, Gabriel? It looks so easy to read now.
It's human friendly.
Yeah, anybody can do it now. God damn it.
Yeah, man.
Scary.
You felt so special before, aren't you?
I know.
We can make a 40 nested
scriptic units.
No, exactly. Yeah, that's what we're trying to make them as easy as possible, customized as possible. That way you can do it in sales, carry it all the way through operations. Good clean process.
So for like weird shaped units, I don't, flag units or just whatever the architect's brain can think of that we have to make a unit to fit. Are you anticipating making, versions of all those lights, or would we then default to like our old modeling method?
Good question. It's kind of, we'd have to look at it a little bit to see what it would take to make all of these. I know Zach said we can do a combination if we needed to. We're also looking into like the adaptive panels for these. So I think we haven't really decided fully on it, but it's something that we can talk about.
And another thing is the door units. Yeah.
Yes, door units for sure. Everybody loves door units.
We'll love them.
Yeah, but it may be more possible to build more specific door units that we can reuse rather than, because we can't really, it's really hard with the curtain walls to make something you can reuse because the horizontals are kind of outside the purview of the frame, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think doors you can pre-make actually, just like we make them in the setup. You can just follow the same one and pre-make them.
Yeah, I think doors might actually be a little easier in this system if we get our heads together around it. So.
Yeah, so So Gabe, for that, I have like little vision on that. If you leave the gap for the door within a unit, like this kind of unit, and then draw the separate wall for the door with a no border mullions, like, and to replace that panel with the door family that you have right now.
There's a whole bunch of different approaches that we can look at, see which one's best, see which one works
Yeah.
for the whole
Yeah,
team.
but if you want to use the current family, we can. That is
Yeah.
one of the method. We can.
Yep. Okay, it's 4:02. I think that's all I have. If anybody does have anything, I think we're good to go.
Nice job, brother.
Thanks, Gabe.
Good job.
Yeah.
Great class.
Guys.
Thank you.
Definitely kept us awake.
All right. See you guys.
See ya.
Thank you.